A crucial time for the father and son is approaching as the king's cancer prognosis heightens the importance of seeking reconciliation before it's too late. His estranged son Prince Harry was thousands of miles away in Sengay on May 27, when King Charles was sitting on a throne festooned from Windsor trees before Canada's Parliament, delivering a message of togetherness amid escalating tensions between the United States and Canada. Father and son are still very different emotionally, even though they are short on the same continent. Even while he undergoes weekly cancer treatments, Charles, 76, received acclaim for his statesmanship when he said, "The true North is indeed strong and free." In this week's cover story, Queen Elizabeth's former press secretary, Ailsa Anderson, tells he could give a masterclass in diplomatic relations. However, there is still another issue his speak cannot resolve: his strained connection with his son. When May told, "I don't know how much longer my father has. He refuses to talk to me." According to royal historian Durrett Owens, author of After Elizabeth, the king's son, the man Charles referred to as his darling boy, was intended to be one of his dependable lieutenants he could call on to support the monarchy. Will the monarchy be able to save itself? When Harry and Meghan Markle, 4th, 3, left their royal duties and relocated to Montecito, California, in 2020, that idea fell apart. Bombshell interviews, their Netflix documentary series, and Harry's best-selling memoir Spare, which claimed a violent altercation with 4th, 2-year-old Prince William, further within the goal. Although William and Harry and Meghan are still very much at odds, some royal watchers think King Charles, the leader of the Kirk of England and a longtime supporter of unity, ought to initiate contact. But his key rules inside the palace walls. There has occasionally been a wish to get back in touch, but according to royal biographer Sully Bedell-Smith, the underlying issue is trust. Harry and Meghan are not trusted by the king and William to have any kind of private conversation. According to source, there aren't many voices calling for reconciliation around Charles. According to a source, Queen Camilla, 77, who was heavily radicalized in Spare, stays out of it, and William has showed no intention in making amends. Senior aides like Clive Alderton, who is also featured in Harry's memoir, are unlikely to advocate for any changes. Valentin Lowe, author of the upcoming book Power and the Police, says there isn't a nice angel in his ear telling him to be a good dad and make the first no. Harry called for peace, but many saw his remarks on this just on more setback. Lowe claims that although it wasn't intended to be an attack, it will be interpreted as such. It makes it even more difficult for Charles to recover. The stakes are also rising because the king is still receiving treatment for an unidentified kind of cancer. According to Catherine Mayer, author of Charles, The Heart of a King, if you have that level of break in a family and you are estranged, you run that risk every day of having something unfathomable to deal with. The relationship between Charles and Harry was complicated even before the current occurrence. Harry, a broken married son, lost his mother Princess Diana in a public and sad way. Harry discussed changing his family's last name to his mother's last name, Spinker, with his uncle Charles Spencer during the conflict with his father, but he was informed that the legal obstacles would be too significant. The idea that one meeting would resolve everything is ridiculous because there is so much baggage there, Nair tells. But it would seem better to have some contact than none at all. Security is at the center of the conflict. Harry claims that his family is in danger if he loses his official protection, which is why he is not willing to travel to the UK with Meghan and their kids, Prince Archie, Chai, and Princess Lilibet, who turns 4 on June 4. Although the police claims the courts have examined it repeatedly and meticulously, he still thinks Charles can overturn the ruling. The devastating world potentially damage Charles' legacy, according to Lowe. This is a family rift rather than a constitutional rift. It's what happens to families, he says, adding that he thinks most people can distinguish between the private drama and his public duty. Both parties must come to the realization that they cannot continue in their current state. Father and son are still focused on their individual journeys across the Atlantic for the time being. In addition to his charitable endeavors, Harry is investigating new business endeavors with the support of a fresh communications team. Charles, on the other hand, keeps displaying endurance. Following the trip to Canada, a top advisor stated that the king is coping with his sickness in the face of incredible advance in medical and is content to leading as normal a life as possible. That resolution might provide Harry with some optimism. Owens states, "I hope the king will eventually take that step toward reconciliation with Harry."